So everybody welcome Dr. Manju.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everyone. It's been a long night. I'm so glad to connect with you. I'm Dr. Menije, a licensed psychologist here in Los Angeles. And I am a recovering perfectionist. Anyone here? Anyone? Somebody. Okay, there's my person. You will get me. Thank you. Yes. So we're going to talk about how perfectionism is hurting your business. But let me ask you something. Would you knowingly do something that hurts your business? Probably not. Hopefully not. We don't knowingly do things that are unhealthy for us. So that's the thing. As a society, we don't really know how perfectionism is hurting us or how it's bad for us. And that's what I want to talk to you about. What is perfectionism, how it's showing up in your life, how it's hurting your business, and then few things you can do to get it out of the way so that your business can really succeed and thrive. Because as Maya Angelou says, once I know better, thank you. I knew someone. I do better, yes. And by the time I'm finished, we're gonna know a lot about your perfectionism. Because this is how it starts, by the way. People are like, I'm not a perfectionist. I'm like, let me show you. All right, here's my story though. I wanna tell you a little bit about myself. You might tell from my accent that I was not born in the United States. I'm from Istanbul, Turkey. I know somebody's been there, yes. And I moved to the States 2 weeks before my 15th birthday. And when you move across continents in the middle of your adolescence, there is this idea that there's a marathon and everybody's already started the race and somehow I missed the whistle. So I'm like looking around, how do I catch up with everybody? Somebody was asking me, oh, did you know English before you came here? I'm like, yes, I did, but not enough, all right? I didn't know the cultural, cool things. And so I spent so many of my years trying to catch up, right? Trying to fit in, and that's how my perfectionism began. It said, if you're gonna be happy in your new life in America, you have to do things perfectly to fit in. And that's the thing that I feel some of you may relate to. If you ever felt like you're behind or you may not have what it takes, it's just a self-doubt talking. That's how our perfectionism gets us. It's a survival skill. That it says you gotta do things perfectly to be happy. So over the years, in therapy, I start to see something in clients. I'm not gonna ask you if you've been to therapy, but I have. And when you go to therapy, you typically go to therapy for anxiety, relationship issues, maybe sleep problems, body image issues. And there's one thing people had in common. Everybody was trying to be perfect to feel better. And guess what? They were actually feeling more anxious, more unhappy, more exhausted. So let's break this apart. What is perfectionism? On the surface, it's wanting to do things well. We all want to do a good job. We all want to give back to our clients, our community, our best service, our best product. It's noble and it's kind. But behind the surface, what perfectionism really is, being at war with yourself. You are judging and criticizing everything you do wrong or everything that doesn't go as planned. When you have perfectionism, all you focus is on this perfect, flawless outcome, and you don't care about the journey. You don't care about the progress or the effort or the lessons. And perfectionism turns your life into this endless report card of accomplishments where you better get A+ on everything you do. So, what we're gonna do next, we're gonna take a little test. And I'm going to share with you lesser known symptoms of perfectionism, what I call hidden. And for a few things that I read, I need you to count. I need you to be honest with me and don't cheat. And I need you to count any of these things you say yes to. Number one, do you have high expectations of yourself that might be unrealistic or unattainable sometimes? Okay. Number two, do you... Yes, Chris... One of these days, we're going to have a conversation. Number two, do you focus on every detail of the work you do? Number three, do you overthink things or overplan like 10 steps ahead? All right? Do you triple check your work? Do you have a hard time saying no? Do you have a hard time delegating because you cannot let go of control or you don't think people can do a good job? I knew I was around my people. Why isn't only one person raise their hand? All right, where am I? I said delegating. Do you have a hard time saying no? Do you dwell on mistakes? Do you have a hard time setting boundaries and people pleasers? That's a different conversation. We'll focus on business for today. And last, have you ever felt like you have so much on your plate, you're so overwhelmed that you actually start procrastinating? That is the hidden sign of perfectionism. All right, here's the secret. There is not a magic number that will let me tell you if you have perfectionism. I'm not diagnosing anybody. Because here's the two things. I wanted you to first take away that these are the true signs of perfectionism. That's the first thing I wanted you to take away from this little test we did, is that it's not what you think on the surface and it's not what the society rewards. It's actually these behind the scene, hard time delegating, hard time saying no, fear of disappointing people. And the number two thing I want you to take away is how it's impacting your life. Because over here, somebody may have said yes to two things, and over here, somebody said yes to all of these. It doesn't matter because it's all about how it's impacting you and how it's impacting you, and we probably all, at some level, struggle with anxiety, insecurity, and exhaustion. Perfectionism also have limiting beliefs. These are the thoughts that I know some of you might already know. These are the negative thoughts that limit us in some way or keeps us stuck. And perfectionists think, I am how well I do things. They think my worth depends on my productivity. And if it's not perfect, it's a complete failure. If it's not perfect, it's a complete waste of my time. It has to be perfect for it to have value. And these are the negative thoughts of perfectionism. It's not a cheerleader, it's a complete inner critic. And it comes with fear. Perfectionism is fear-driven. Fear of failure, fear of change, fear of uncertainty, fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of not being good enough, fear of being an imposter. It's all these fears that drives my perfectionism because it says if I do things perfectly, none of those fears will come true. If I do things perfectly, nobody will reject me. So I just told you the real signs of perfectionism. I told you the limiting beliefs very briefly, and I just told you the fears. But guess what? Society doesn't talk about that. What do we do instead? We glorify perfectionism. We reward it. How many times you did something wonderful and perfect and your sales went up, you got promoted? So here's what people tell me. My perfectionism motivates me. It's my perfectionism that gives me the drive and ambition. If it wasn't for my perfectionism, my business wouldn't be where it is today. So you're asking me to lower my standards and be mediocre. Why are people getting so defensive when I try to challenge their perfectionism? Why are you all getting so afraid to talk about the ugly truth of perfectionism? And that's because you think your life depends on it. You think without perfectionism, your business will fail. Without your being the perfect sister or perfect daughter, perfect friend, people will leave you. So again, we have this false thinking that my life depends on my perfectionism. So I want you to think about something. You remember how people argue sometimes, oh, my perfectionism makes me so driven and ambitious. So how motivated are you really? How driven are you really when you're also resentful and exhausted and tired and disconnected? Because those two things don't coexist. You can't be motivated and burn out at the same time. And I get it. Business, it starts well. Your businesses succeed. Like I was saying earlier, you get sales, you get promoted when you do things perfectly, but it doesn't end well. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about. Let's play the tape forward and realize that perfectionism will only bring more anxiety. And I am not here to tell you to be mediocre or lower your standards. What I'm here to tell you is to turn that toxic drive into a healthy drive. I'm here to ask you to show up for your business from a more authentic, imperfect, genuine place so your business will thrive and you will actually reach your goals. So, since I need to wrap this up, let me tell you a few things you can do. I want you to prioritize, I want you to pass it over, and I want you to pause. I came up with 3 P words. I know. All right, prioritize. What that means is that you're going to start making value-based decisions. Instead of fear-driven decisions, you're going to make decisions from your values. You're going to ask yourself, what are my priorities? What's really worth chasing? Because if you're chasing perfectionism, you're actually chasing control, and control is not a value. Courage is a value. Getting out of my comfort zone is a value. Connection is a value. Balance in my life is a value. So please make value-based decisions. That's what prioritizing means. Number 2, pass it over. I know I'm going to upset some of you, but you need to let go of your need for control. Delegation is your superpower. Delegation is your friend. So you justify this for yourself. You say, nobody can do it as good as me. I don't have anybody to pass it over to. Then start training people. And if you don't really have someone to delegate to, and I know delegation is complicated, I don't know everybody's situation, I still want you to take 2 things away. Start saying no more often to things. And I also want you to think about deadlines, because I was saying perfectionist triple check work. Something that's supposed to take me a day will take me 3 days, because I have to perfect it. Done is better than perfect. So put deadlines, say I'm going to work on this for 1 hour, and then I'm putting it away, I'm sending it over. All right, last one, I swear it's worth it, is pausing. I want you to pause so you can show up for your life in a more mindful, intentional way. I want you to pause so you can be in the present moment like I'm trying to be right now, and find more balance and make time for self-care. And one last thing that I want you to remember is to practice gratitude. Perfectionist is never satisfied, and it will tell me there's always more you have to do. But an antidote to perfectionism is gratitude, because my grateful heart will tell me I'm enough, I have done enough, my best is good enough, and I'm exactly where I need to be. So please show up for your business from a grateful, mindful, value-driven place, because you are all enough as you are, and lots of love to you all. Thank you so much.